In this video, we're going to discuss some of the most insane ways that I see people try to learn a language, from sleep learning to obsessive Duolingo grinding to joining the military and even going to prison for years. Assalamu alaikum wa ahlan fikum al channel. Tudo jóia? Mit Name Language Simp und ich komme aus den USA. Swej жизни я выучил много языков и j'ai aussi voyagé à travers le monde usando los idiomas que aprendí. So throughout the years, I've seen a lot of crazy language learning ads, and I've met a ton of quirky language learning NPCs who have their own bizarre and often terrible techniques. Therefore, it's time that I expose these once and for all. Make sure you stay until the end because a lot of these are very shocking. And later on, I'll share a really important announcement about my new upcoming book in this video. So let's start with the classic, sleep learning. If you didn't know, there are thousands of videos on YouTube claiming to teach you a language while you're sleeping. Yes, some monolingual betas are so lazy that the only way they could fathom learning a language is if they do it while they're unconscious. Usually these videos will just repeat words and their meanings endlessly for hours, and you'll just lay there like, boyfriend, earn chum, boyfriend, earn chum. Download Raid Shadow Legends? First of all, the average person in the modern day doesn't even get a healthy amount of sleep, so maybe some languages could be soothing and help you relax, but some others would probably give you nightmares. The sad thing is that so many gullible NPCs fall for this, or are at least curious about it, which is clear from the hundreds of posts, mainly on Reddit, asking about it and praying that it works. And before you ask in the comments, no, this does not work. If this did work, you know who would be the best at learning languages? People who sleep a lot, like depressed people and babies. Wait a second. It would be hilarious if this worked though, because any monolingual new to the hobby could just hibernate and effortlessly alphamog people like me and other hardcore language learners who have put in a lot of work over many years. I'm a grifter, so yeah, I did make one sleep learning video myself, but that one actually works. Kinda like sleep learning, there's also learning a language under hypnosis. I can't believe I'm saying that. I've gotten so many ads specifically for this French company Hypnoledge, that claims you'll learn languages 25% faster if you let them hypnotize you. In their marketing materials, they say that under hypnosis, you'll finally like to learn languages. I thought we did like it. Languages are fun. That's why we learn them. Why do I need to be hypnotized into liking it? But then they go on to say that using their app will also allow you to finally develop human skills. What? To be fair, a lot of us could use a little help with that. But allow me to be the first one to tell you that if you hate learning languages so much that the only way you could fathom doing it is if you're literally hypnotized, this probably isn't the hobby for you. Since it's a French company, I wouldn't be surprised if Marine Le Pen, or whoever the French president is, made this app to psyop the world and hypnotize everyone into liking the French language. I haven't used the app myself, so maybe it's really good, but I think it's hilarious because it shows the lengths that people will go to just not sit down and study like a normal human being. And if the French can't hypnotize you into learning French, maybe they could get you with this next method, which is military service. France has something called the French Foreign Legion, which is a branch of their armed forces that they send on the worst, most brutal, most dangerous missions imaginable. And anyone can join from any country, even if you're a convicted felon, a total degenerate, or have any other problem under the sun. And joining this legion is the fastest method that speedrunners have found for learning French as of December 2024. Right when you get there, everything is in baguette language, starting from boot camp, so you'll learn the language really quickly if you want to survive. And if you finish your service with the legion, France will give you a new identity and even citizenship. So if you can survive a couple intense geopolitical conflicts, you basically get to respawn in life as a Frenchman. I've seen desperation before, but imagine hating your life so much that your best option is becoming French. If the only way you can be motivated to study is the necessity to communicate with friendly soldiers on the battlefield to survive, that's insane. I personally know 3 people who have used this method and joined the Legion to learn French, and I haven't heard from them in years, so they're either dead or French. Before I talk next about Duolingo, which will be extremely controversial, allow me to tell you about an actually effective language learning resource, Magaku, who I'd like to thank for sponsoring today's video. I had heard of Magaku for a while as I had some friends who swore by its effectiveness specifically for Japanese, but now they offer a bunch of different languages with more coming soon. When I was in Japan, the founders of Magaku wined and dined me at a curry restaurant, and let me just tell you, the way that these white men told the waiters in flawless Japanese that I was allergic to almonds proved to me that there are real talented language learners behind their project. And when they showed me how Magaku works, I was immediately impressed. Magaku is a Chrome extension that turns websites like Twitter, YouTube, Netflix, blogs, news sites, or basically anything you could read or watch online into interactive language lessons. For something like YouTube, it provides you with interactive subtitles. And what I love is how you can click on any word to see a detailed explanation of it. And if you're a flashcard grinding nerd, you could save the words as flashcards to review later, and Magaku will keep track of the words you know. And they also offer courses that are great for building a solid foundation in your target language, and they have a mobile app so you can learn on the go. Right now, you can get 40% off lifetime access to Magaku plus an extra free month on other subscription plans. And there's a free 10-day trial, so click the link in the description to check out Magaku today. Alright, now back to the insane language learning methods like Duolingo. This is going to trigger a lot of y'all, but these things need to be said. In our community, there is a toxic cult of Duolingo grinders who firmly believe that they're on their way to fluency in a language with a Duolingo streak longer than their longest relationship. Let me highlight first that I don't think that Duolingo is all dog water. I think it does a lot of things well. For example, it teaches you how to click on boxes, use a keyboard, and how to make random noises that it will mark as correct even though they're far from it. No, but seriously, it's not all bad. I mean, you can learn vocab and grammar from it, but what I think is crazy are the people who only use Duolingo, the Duolingo purists. It seems like when people get hooked on it, they tend to never actually progress from it in any tangible way. When I meet a Duolingo grinder who's been streaking for over 1,000 days, 9 times out of 10, they can't even speak a lick of the language they've been learning. So at this point, if you tell me you have a long streak, I'm gonna pretend to be deaf around you. If you take me and a Duolingo grinder and give us a new language, let the Duolingo grinder grind Duolingo in that language for 1,000 days straight, give them a literal 1,000-day head start, then give me one afternoon of studying it with my method, I guarantee you I'll speak that language 10 times better than them in one afternoon. Another insane method that floats around the weeb community specifically is something called AJATT, or all Japanese all the time. And it's just what it sounds like. You forget your native language and from day one you do everything in Japanese until you're fluent. Most people die in the first few days because they forget simple concepts like breathing, eating, and defecating because they don't know the words in Japanese. But the people who make it past the early stages do tend to get fluent really fast, like no joke. However, I find it insane because if you truly commit to this, you can't talk to your family. You have to ghost your mom, and imagine if you're married or have kids or something. Do you just ignore them? What if you have a job in the USA speaking American? I guess it works best if you're a depressed gamer who doesn't leave the house very often. Yes, I'm talking about you. My favorite hypothetical is if you're AJATTing and you see someone bleeding out on the side of the road in Gary, Indiana, and you're the only witness. Can you call 911? Do you wait for a Japanese interpreter? If you're new to AJATTing, you're not even gonna know what to say. I guess the lore-friendly approach is to let them die. The next method I'll touch on is reading memes. And you might be thinking, language simp, what? Reading memes? That's just input. What could possibly be insane about that? People often say stuff like, oh man, you should try reading memes in your target language. It will teach you vocab and help your comprehension. And while this does sound good in theory, this does not work well in practice. I don't know what your algorithms look like, and while it is true that many of the languages I learn appear on my feed, please tell me how I'll get any educational value from this. Or from this. My algorithm is shot, like busted, broken. I've done irreversible damage to it. It's absurdist, post-ironic brain rot BS to the max. So in 2024, I'm convinced you cannot learn a language from memes. It reminds me of how people often play video games to learn a language. This one definitely works, but it really depends on which type of game you want to play, because you'll mainly learn vocab related to that game. If it's Minecraft, you'll walk away with a lot of mining terminology, I guess. Just be careful who you tell or your ass might be thrown in the mines and told to dig when you finally visit a country where the language is spoken. Most other games on the market are violent military shooters, so I guess that would set you up for... Putain, every road leads back to the Legion. You know how people say that your personality changes when you speak in a different language? Well, it's true for me. I'm an asshole in French, but I am a sweetheart in Uzbek. And I truly believe that your personality develops through the language learning method that you use. So if you learn a language through playing League of Legends, when you reach fluency, you're gonna be the worst person in the world. I recommend sticking to games that have a specific surplus of speakers of the language that you're studying. You should learn Russian on Counter-Strike. Chinese on Genshin Impact, and what do Germans play? I don't know. They probably just stare at the wall. I doubt they play games. But you know who definitely does play games? Men. Ladies, get yourself a man who doesn't play no games and respects you. Curiously, a lot of NPCs find dating someone who speaks their target language to be an effective learning method, but I think it's insane. It's effective because apparently when you date a woman, you spend a lot of time with her, so if she speaks a different language, you apparently could get a lot of exposure to it, apparently. It's best to find a woman or man, if you're gay or a woman, who doesn't speak English to unlock full immersion. Where it becomes insane is when someone dates someone who speaks their target language just because they speak their target language. Like, I have a straight male friend who's dated significantly older women, blatant gold diggers, and even men just because they spoke Swahili. Wait a second, I'm that guy. Just don't get too emotionally attached, because let's say you have a cute goth communist Soviet girlfriend from Moscow and you get D1 Russian with her. What's gonna happen when she dumps you for Chad? You're not gonna want to speak Russian no more after you find out that Svetlana is spending the night at Chadamir's place. If you really want to become a polyglot, you'll date multiple people at the same time. This is something that linguists call cheating. The next method I'll discuss is listening and reading. That's how I learned over 20 languages by the young age of 79. In all honesty, that's a big part of the method that I actually use, and it's time that I finally share this method with you guys. So I'm proud to announce that I have an ebook coming out this January. It's called the Hyper Polyglot Handbook, a GigaChad's Guide to Language Learning. You could think of it as a sort of hyper polyglot manifesto, plus a guide for the exact method that I use to learn all my languages. If you're ready to change and finally learn a new language, or you just want to improve your method, click the link in the description to join the waiting list. Or if you're not into reading, maybe you'd be interested in a method known as Language Chicken. Language Chicken is an extremely hardcore yet effective language learning game that I created, and the rules are simple. First, you choose a language, and then you spend a week or so memorizing all of the most common insults in that language. Then, buy a one-way plane ticket to the most dangerous country where that language is spoken, and don't pack anything. When you arrive, find a lower class neighborhood and start practicing those insults with random people in the streets. And what happens next is what you make of it. Things are bound to get intense in this full immersion environment, which is certainly going to speed up your learning. For some people, the adrenaline helps with retaining vocab, but you'd be surprised where an honest game of Language Chicken may lead you. I have friends who have ended up succeeding in their new country, mastering the language, finding a job, and even one day making it into elected office there just from a game of Language Chicken. Yes, Jair Bolsonaro was my friend who language chickened Brazilian Portuguese so hard that he became president. But I have other friends who, using this method, died. It's also very possible that Language Chicken will land you in prison abroad, which may just be the best way to get full immersion in the universe. Think about it. You, a prison cell, one open communal toilet, and a bunch of aggressive, sweaty men who only speak your target language. Truly a dream come true for the average language learner. You'd get so much immersive input, and you'd have to start outputting really fast if you want to survive. And it would last for a long time depending on your prison sentence. A lot of people try this method, but securing the right amount of time behind bars for your specific target language is the tricky part. You gotta feel it out and consider how hard the language is. Maybe you only need a sentence of a few years to learn something like Portuguese, but maybe you'd want to secure a life sentence for a language like Russian. Just whatever you do, do not accidentally get the death penalty. I've had too many friends do that and never reach fluency. If you don't think sharing a jail cell with jacked, sweaty, bald men would teach you a language, maybe you could try hiring an attractive female teacher. I keep getting ads on Instagram for something called Baddie Talk, which is a very straightforward service. Beautiful women teaching you Spanish? It's like italki, but all the teachers are gorgeous Latinas. I can't really tell where they're based out of. It seems like they have teachers from all over Latino America. But it's crazy because for a service that is supposed to highlight the beauty of the Spanish language, they don't seem to have any teachers who speak the most beautiful dialect, Equatorial Guinean Spanish. If they had a quote baddie from Equatorial Guinea, I would unlearn Spanish and book a lesson immediately. If being taught by a beautiful woman motivates you, who am I to judge? But I just can't see how this would go over well for a man who specifically seeks this type of thing out while having a girlfriend or a wife. This is kind of an honorable mention because there's nothing wrong with it, but I just find it entertaining and funny. I respect the grind and the work that these women are putting in, and I I might see the appeal. Maybe I do see the appeal. Should I make a male version of this? But if you don't think hiring tutors based on their looks is for you, we have the method of becoming a Mormon. And you might be thinking, language simp, what? What? You're a Mormon? No, I'm not, and I'm not endorsing the religion. But it is undeniable that members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are some of the best language learners in the galaxy. I was reminded of this a few days ago when I stumbled upon this random well-dressed white man speaking fluent Farsi while holding the Book of Mormon. The reason that Mormons are so good at languages is because they grind the crap out of them in order to spread their religion abroad in every country on the planet. There's actually this YouTube channel called Lifey, which is just a bunch of American Mormons speaking in and talking about different languages. And honestly, if you watch language videos, I guarantee you've seen this channel and just never realized that these guys are missionaries for the LDS Church. Apparently they learn languages really fast, like within 6 to 9 weeks, and if that's true, they're some of the best in the world. They have amazing grammar, pronunciation, and aura. So if you've exhausted all other options, consider becoming a Mormon today. Just be careful because apparently these guys have no choice in which language they learn and which country they're sent to. If you're anything like me, you'd be hoping you get something cool like Urdu, Wu Chinese, or Twi. So imagine how bad it would feel if they gave you Swedish or Canadian. And that's a wrap. Don't forget to click the link in the description to sign up for the waiting list for my new ebook coming in January. And also, consider supporting me on Patreon if you enjoy watching my videos. If you need me, I'll be playing Language Chicken in North Korea, and then next week I'm joining the Legion. До свидания.